It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Call us on your cell phone.
Culinary Hotline Bling.
That
It can only mean one thing. You wake up and you realize it's a Wednesday morning, which means it's time for the Culinary Hotline Bling. Ting, ting, ting. Now, this past Saturday was, of course, Africa Day. So we want to delve a little bit deeper into the wonderful variety of food that is celebrated across our wonderful and magnificent, majestic continent. And so to help us answer all of your culinary questions on traditional African foods is the lovely Chef Tash Geleba and our old friend Geleto Motau. Let's give them a round of applause. They're here. Yes. Do remember to join in on the conversation. You can do so by posting your questions and comments on our social media pages. But first, a very good morning, my fellow Africans.
Hey.
Good morning. Children of the soil.
Awesome morning to you too, child of the soil.
Indeed, we are here. All right, so most of us grew up with umngqushu. Or a stampa.
Yes.
We love it very, very much. It's an old favorite in South Africa. So do you have any tips on how to prepare this iconic dish, especially maybe if you... Let's start with the basic way of preparing it. Maybe then you can suggest some ideas of how you can just spice it up a little bit. Yeah, elevate it a little bit.
All right, umngqusho normally was cooked over a long period of time. The reason why that is we didn't have the conventional stoves and everything like that, all the fancy gadgets that we have today. But what I normally do with any legumes and any seeds and all that, especially Sam, you soak it overnight so that it's easy and tender. And it takes a lesser time to cook, about an hour.
Yeah, it cuts your
minutes.
cooking time.
Yes.
It's also quite good because you rinse out all those yucky little things in there.
Starches,
Exactly.
perhaps,
so you give it time to soak up the liquids, and then when you're cooking it, it's quick and easy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
you
soaking
save
it
up
is
on
very
time and
important.
electricity as well.
Absolutely. And of course, the longer you allow it to take, the more of those flavors you can then infuse in it. So if that's the basic way of doing it, how do you spice it up? Give it some...
Vavavoom.
I mean, that's just the basic way. That's a base. You can add any flavor to it. I mean, my mother used to put like lots of butter into it. You can put spices. I mean, you'd start with frying your onions, add some spices to that, and then add your cooked stump to that, and just infuse flavor into that, or just add like your robust herbs, like your rosemary, thyme, while you're cooking it to infuse deeper into the sam.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about the sorry, you were about to say.
Oh, sorry. You can also, there's something that I do that I call an African risotto because umngqusho becomes creamy, the samp becomes creamy.
Yes.
You can add, as Keleto has said, you can add herbs and you can add fresh cream and you have a very nice creamy type of samp.
Yeah. I heard that you also experienced quite a delicious similar dish, bean dish in Kenya.
Yeah, and it's not similar, but it was amazing. It's called maharagwe ya nazi.
Maharagwe ya nazi.
Yeah, so it's basically a red kidney bean stew with coconut milk. That's just like amazing, and you have it with flatbreads, the chapatis, and you just eat it with your hands. It's so delicious. So I mean, beans again throughout Africa used everywhere.
Yes.
So.
Oh my goodness, that sounds absolutely delicious. And then, of course, you can't speak African food and not speak pap. Papa, porridge, whatever you want to call it. Everyone loves it in their own different way. My personal favorite is taking pap that was cooked the night before, warming it up, and not even in a microwave, in that same pot, adding some water to it, and then on a medium heat, allowing it to kind of steam itself back to life. And then dishing that up. Some milk nyana, butter nyana how batla, motomong some tswekere nyana how batla, yo, the breakfast of champions. But of course, there are many other beautiful ways that you can enjoy pap. So, what do they call pap in other countries, by the way?
So I did some research and I was working on some few projects, and I realized that this, like a maize porridge and maize pap, is quite popular throughout the continent. I mean, in Zimbabwe they call it sadza. In Zambia, it's called nshima. And nshima, yeah. And in East Africa, so your Tanzanias and Kenyas, it's called ugali. So it's basically the same thing. Slightly different cooking techniques, but basically the same thing. So it's it's like African.
So pap is like our continental dish.
Exactly.
In pap we trust.
In pap we trust.
Pap, we definitely
Viva pap.
trust. We grew up eating pap for porridge, soft porridge.
Yeah.
And this kind of pap, ngesiXhosa, if I'm going to bring it home, we used to call it, well, we call it stiff pap. Because, yes, because...
Like, not like a stiff kunt.
No,
It's a stiff pap because it's stiff.
Papa, it's stiff. Yes, stiff papa. And my hubby comes from Limpopo, so pap is his staple food.
Yeah,
So I've heard to learn ways of doing it quick and easy. So I've got this recipe. It's 1 part of milli meal and 2 parts of hot boiling water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can put in a pinch of salt. You can flavor it with herbs, and it's in the microwave.
What?
5 to 7 minutes.
Wait. You are destroying every single just construct of pap that I have in my mind. Hold on to that recipe a little bit. We're going to be back to back. I can't even get my words right because it just blew my mind. But the culinary hotline bling.
Ting, ting, ting.
Will return.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Call us on your cell phone.
Culinary hotline bling.
That can only mean one thing.
Welcome back to it. We're live, large, and in charge on your feel-good breakfast show with the culinary hotline bling. Ting, ting, ting. Chef Tash and Gilles are here, and we are talking real African cuisine. Also, remember that you can be part of the conversation by posting your comments and your questions on our social media pages. Chef Tash blew my mind earlier on, and I've just recently recovered from, because I remember the days when I learned to make pap. And it was slaving over almost like a cast iron pot, waiting for the water to boil, adding water, and then and then like it would pop on your hands and you burn like but you have to brave it through.
to be fast.
But you said there's a way that you make it through a microwave. Just take us through the recipe quickly.
1 part of milli meal, 2 parts of water, and maybe a spoon or 2 spoons. If you're going to use butter, I would say 1 spoon. If you're going to use olive oil, you can use 2 because it's nice and healthier. You make sure that it's not lumpy. In the microwave, 5 to 7 minutes. Stir it in between, and voila, it's done.
Sure. How did you get your husband to like it?
I used to decant it into a pot so that when he comes home, he thinks it's been potified.
Wow. Hey, the things you do. That's innovation right there for you. That's brilliant. Try that out and let us know how your pap recipe works out. You can SMS the keyword dish to 33728, by the way, if you want to get a quick little note on how to do that. Let's talk about okra. What is okra, Keletso, and where did you become familiar with okra?
So the first time I was kind of introduced to okra, I was doing a project and I had to do like African recipes, and one of the countries was Zambia, and they had this dish called telele that they make with okra. So it's like this vegetable. If you overcook it, it becomes like slimy and weird.
Not nice.
I mean, that was my first experience because I was new to it and I was like, what am I doing
It
to
sounds
this?
like a banana. Is it a banana?
So
Kind of
yeah, it's like
plantain
it
kind of
looks
thing?
like a banana, but it's just green. It's actually more like a chili, like a green chili.
We actually have a picture of it on screen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of cook it up and it became slimy and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not great. But there are beautiful ways to cook it.
You must never overcook okra because it becomes, so it's a mucilagin type of texture. So if you want to lose weight as well, you use okra, cut it in half, infuse your water overnight, keep it in the fridge, you drink that water, it's very healthy. It's a superfood as well because it's got one of the nutrients, the 9 nutrients that are needed by your body.
Wow! Salam future for everybody. Okay. I'm very excited about this because we were talking during the break about how this trend is now starting to pick up where the world is kind of looking at Africa as the center of all things cuisine. We're taking vegetables like this, morojo, or when we grew up, and now we're infusing it into omelets like this or frittatas like this, and now it's become like, it's given it new life.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this recipe that we're making, the PhD Morogo.
PhD Morogo. So again, it's taking ingredients that we're familiar with and elevating them and doing, quick and easy. So basically what I have done with the morojo is that, or the spinach, is that I've sauteed it with just a bit of oil and some mushrooms. Yeah. So I've just sauteed that, seasoned it as well. So what I've got here is a pan. First of all, I've got a pan heating up over there. I'm gonna add some olive oil. Good. Into this pan, some eggs, a bit of milk that I'm just gonna whisk until it's nice and creamy and all mixed through. Yeah. Can you please add some salt for me in there?
While
Chef
you do
Tash?
that, Chef Tash, you at home can SMS the keyword egg to 33728
And then some pepper.
and we'll
Some
send you the
pepper as well.
ingredients list as well as a link to the recipe on how you can make your own Morocco special. What do you actually call this? I know PhD Morocco, we're just messing around, but
No, it's just a
It's a
spinach,
frittata.
spinach and mushroom frittata.
Here we go.
So eggs go in,
So medium heat on the pan.
medium heat, nice and gentle. My spinach, my Morocco goes in.
Morocco.
Just on top because you want it pretty. So you're not going to mix it through and
Okay,
whatnot.
okay.
You just put it on top.
Now I'm thinking of all sorts of other kinds of things like Morocco, lidinawa.
Dinawa.
I was just going to say, don't limit yourself to this type of spinach.
Yeah.
You've got Morocco pampun, which is pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
The leaves, the flowers are actually beautiful. You
Yes.
use that as well. You've got Morocco telele, you've got Morocco tepe, and all those.
Do you know what I just
So-
remembered? There was a time, I'm sure it's still done still, but you know that green pumpkin?
Yes.
Where after peeling it and cooking the actual inside of the pumpkin, the green stuff would
the
actually
green
be
stuff.
cooked and that would be a kind of Morocco as well. I wonder if
Yes.
people still eat that and whether they found like fancier ways of making it tasty for the modern time.
There's a Xhosa dish that actually uses all of that, including the Moroccos, the spinach, the pumpkin, the flowers, and everything. It's called umfino. So you cook your pap once. When it's still watery, you put in all your greens, including the green stuff of the pumpkin that you're talking about, and you create a very nice dish.
Okay, excellent stuff. So egg to 33728, and then of course with that beautiful cheese, what are you going to do with it?
I'm just dolloping some
Lovely.
cheese on top here.
Lovely, look at that. Let it do its work.
Let it do its
Yeah.
thing. Trick is just cover it so that the egg
Boom.
settles and steams in there. And then if it's not done, just put it under the grill. And then you garnish it beautifully. Take it to PhD school.
Private school.
Wonderful stuff. Listen, there's still one more segment. This is very, very exciting. The Culinary Hotline bling. Ting, ting, ting. We'll return. Loving it.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Call us on your cell phone.
Culinary Hotline Bling! Welcome back to it. We're live, large and in charge. It's a Wednesday and it's time for the Culinary Hotline Bling! Ting, ting, ting! Part 3. And this morning, the conversation revolves around the colorful cuisine of the African continent. We've chatted about samp and beans and spinach and Morocco and all those wonderful things. And of course, we're joined by our wonderful foodie panel in Chef Tash and Keletso as well. So next up, we're touching on goat meat, which you were educating me right now during the ad break, Chef Tash. Goat meat is actually quite a special kind of meat in terms of our South African context. Why is that?
It's normally used as a sacrificial type of animal. You use it for traditional purposes. Like I know when boys go to initiation school, they specifically slaughter a goat, and those people who do certain customs, they use goat specifically, not lamb, not anything. So with South Africans, it's sort of a taboo meat to sort of just go buy and eat.
Yeah.
Because our meat is like lamb and beef.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
but in the rest of Africa, when you go there, you go to a restaurant. I remember when I went to Moz, you can literally order goat
Yeah,
from the
Mozambique.
menu. Yeah.
And in Kenya, you were saying, Keletso, so they braai goat.
Yeah.
So they have this thing. We have chisanyama. They have nyama choma.
Nyama choma.
Nyama choma is like
Nyama
so,
choma.
so it's like a braai. So you, I mean, you go, you order your goat meat, and then they'll roast like or braai the whole leg.
Yeah.
And then they bring it to your table and they carve it for you at the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
And you have little pieces with your ugali, like I mentioned earlier.
Nyama
And-
ya pudi.
Exactly.
Imbuzi.
Oh yeah.
Imbuzi.
And the goat it's got a peculiar smell. It's sort of gamey, like
Yeah.
Keletso said. It's not like your lamb where you can it's a distinct smell and a
Yeah.
distinct
Flavor,
taste.
yeah.
All right, let's get into the preparation of it because I personally have never cooked goat before.
Okay.
How do we go about making a goat
So
dish?
today
a
we're
goat
making
meat dish?
a goat curry. So firstly, I've got my pan obviously heating up here, some
Yeah.
oil, spices, turmeric, curry powder, some cinnamon, bay leaves, cardamom pods. That go in. You want them to kind of open up
Yes.
and infuse into the oil. So it's always a good idea if you're making a curry just to fry your spices up a little bit.
And I'm glad you
activate
mentioned
them.
that. The key word
Yes.
is curry. SMS that.
There we go.
To 33728.
Onions go in. Saute these babies until they're nice and golden. I'm going to put my heat up.
And while you're at it and going through the process, maybe just tell us about a bit about some of the health benefits of goat meat.
Yeah, I mean, goat meat is, again, much healthier than eating lamb because it's higher in proteins, it's very, and iron rich as well. So
Less fat as well.
Exactly.
It's also a
that's
very
what-
lean animal. As if you look at goat and you compare it to a lamb, when you look at it, it looks lean and strong. So I think that's why it sort of has that gaminess about it.
Yeah, and the same with camel. I found out when we were in Dubai. Camel milk has less fat. Camel meat the same as well because it is a leaner animal that's used to surviving out in the dry desert conditions. But anyway, yeah.
So I'm
back to you.
adding some garlic, ginger, some chilies going into the pan here.
There we go.
Again, flavor town.
Oh, watch out for that chili. It can turn into quite a potent mixture.
Beautiful goat, as we said, leaner, it's quite
Yes.
rich. I'm gonna add this baby in here, and you want that to brown.
Nama choma.
Nyama choma.
Nyama choma.
You want that to brown a little bit.
Wait, so you're trying to tell me, Jorge, the Swahili word for meat is nyama?
Yeah.
And wow, okay, cool. I love that.
And guess what the Swahili word for goat is?
Foodie.
Mbuzi.
Get out of here.
I love
Get out of here.
how
That's so beautiful.
languages are intertwined.
Yeah.
I mean, I found out when I traveled to Zambia,
Yeah.
they have a variety of indigenous traditional languages, obviously belonging to different tribes.
Yeah.
But one of them is very, very similar to Setswana. Really? Like incredibly similar, where words like lerato, love, is lerato in their language as well. You're like, whoa, we are more connected than we think, and we should be embracing this. Carry on,
once
Vanessa,
once your meat is nice and brown, you add some crushed tomatoes, and you want that to simmer and stew. Put it on a low heat, nice, low and slow. You know, get those flavors to get to know each other,
Yeah.
get familiar with one another.
Yeah.
Once it's
Plain.
nice and delicious, you add your beans to the end just to kind of bulk it up and get nice flavor. Put it in a nice serving bowl, some fresh coriander, and it's delicious. You want to try some?
May I, please? I mean, with all those flavors that you've just mentioned, I'm just gonna go easy on them. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Talk
yeah.
about it.
Takes you back home. Beautiful stuff. Thank you so much, chefs, for sharing your wonderful knowledge with us, especially as we celebrate all things African cuisine. It's been an inspiring African culinary morning. So much about a country and a culture is expressed through food and regional cuisine. And we as citizens of Africa are telling our story through our delicious food. And today we've been chatting about all sorts of things, from samp and beans to goat and morojo. We've answered your culinary questions from chicken to oxtail. So of course, remain tuned into the Culinary Hotline Bling, because next week again we'll have more interesting recipes, more interesting topics to share with you. But thank you so much. As they say in Swahili, asante sana.
Karibu.
Asante, karibu.